Yeah. What you know about benchmark? They're speaking the facts that you wanna hear. That rapper jersey, the vision is clear. Diamonds glisten like a chandelier. You know what I'm here for, like Marshawn Lynch. At clutch time, we do not flinch. Real brothers, we do not switch. Hit home runs with the right pitch. Who run the city? What to do when they hating on you? I feel like Kobe 2010. Taking an L, all I need is a win. Business is business, you know how they go. They clearing the seats, now it's time to grow. Tune in now, gotta be in the know. Showtime, bitch, my about to blow. We know.
But episode 105, we're going to start it off talking about NFL free agency. It's a lot of free agents still left out there. I want y'all to start it off. Who do y'all think are some of the top free agents left out there, and possibly what teams you think they can go to?
I'm not trying to be biased here, but Geno Atkins. I mean, he's had a hell of a career with the Bengals, had a down year last year. Right, but his contract was up this year. He could definitely impact the team on the defensive side that needs quality pass rushers. I mean, he's proved himself in the league, Pro Bowl caliber player. Another person that I saw was Sheldon Richardson, which I was shocked that he's still available as well. So these teams that need big time players that have established themselves over the course of their career in the league. Some of these guys are still out there, and those names, those people are going to get picked up. But I'm going to let y'all name off another few.
I'm looking at a list here, man. And I got a couple guys on here that are good. Duke Johnson's still out there, good running back. You got Kawan Short, good defensive lineman, obviously getting older. Trey Boston's out there from Carolina. He was a solid player back in his day. Austin Ryder is out there. Olivier Vernon is out there, and I understand why he would be. He sucks. Who else? Mitchell Schwartz is still out there?
Because he's coming off an injury.
Yeah, but the other guy got signed. Fisher got signed. They both got hurt. Both tackles got hurt. I think it was the same injury too, or close. It was knee and then Achilles or something like that, or respectively for each one of them. But Morgan Moses, the best free agent out there right now, was recently released by the the football team.
Watch yourself though.
Yeah, it's funny.
You didn't say the whole. You didn't say the whole nickname.
That's so funny. But man, there's a lot of good free agents out there, and the funny thing about football is like the rosters are so big that your team is gonna can drastically change even after that first and second and third wave of free agency. There's guys you pick up at the waiver. There's undrafted free agents. There's all types of stuff you're picking up to make your team better. So there's a lot of guys out there that are going to make teams better. We do all this projection stuff on the show. You see all the projections everywhere, but you just don't know. You just don't know what your team's going to look like by the time the season starts because it could all change. Whatever. There could be a giant hole in your team that you didn't think was going to get filled, and it's filled by an unlikely source, filled from somebody who you thought had no business being there. So I'm, if I want to take it back to the Giants, like the Giants, their center is an undrafted free agent. Their center is. And he did a damn good job last year. Don't look at me like that. Nah,
every show,
I'm keeping it a buck.
We talk about the Giants.
I'm talking about. I'm relating it back to the main point. That's the main point. You talking about the Bengals? I'm sorry, no one cares about Ohio. That's the point. That's all. I can't do that. But it's just you don't know. So there's a lot of good players out there. A lot of good players to be had on the market, and football is just one of those interesting sports where that's where that seems to be the reality. But we'll see, man. I mean, some good players out there. What about you, Miles? What do you think? Who should the Jets sign to get them to be 14-2 and go to the Super Bowl like you think they're gonna go?
This guy's crazy. So some of the free agents I like Morgan Moses, even though Greg doesn't like him.
I literally didn't say that. What I said that. I said
You've said it before.
Morgan, what was this?
Yes, but let me get back to my point. Like, he's one of the best offensive tackles on the board, and on a normal team they wouldn't have released him. But the football team is trying to get younger, so sometimes you got to cut good players so young players can develop. But I mean, he's been durable. He's played 16 games the last 6 years. And at tackle, that's what you need. You need somebody who's going to be out there every week. So,
Where do you think he goes, Morgan Moses?
maybe the Giants.
I don't think it's a crazy. I think the Giants could pick him up. I think that's realistic. We'll see. The Giants claim they trust their offensive line. I understand why they might feel that way because I saw the way they played in the second half of the year. But I would not be mad at that. Some reinforcements there just to make sure that my man Daniel Jones has a big season. I think he's going to have. So yeah, I think that I could easily see it. By the way, yo, you gotta stop the joke. Happy birthday to Daniel Jones, bro. Happy birthday to Daniel Jones. Yes. Happy birthday.
Make sure to post that clip
Happy
next week.
Happy birthday to the chosen one, bro. The one that's gonna take us to the promised land, bro.
You
Daniel
know who
Jones.
else is out there at
Why you just do that?
Because
Why you do that? It's Daniel Jones' birthday.
You don't
bro.
even say it 10 times.
Nah.
Happy birthday, happy birthday, Danny Dimes.
You want
some respect. Call him Danny
you go
Dimes.
on the show. He's a New York guy. He's a good dude.
Listen.
He come on the show. Daniel Jones, come on the show.
Shout out to Danny Dimes, but Alshon Jeffrey's still out there too.
Ain't nobody.
Listen, he can go to the Raiders. He can go to the Raiders and fill the
The
spot
biscuit
of,
away.
Aguilar.
Yeah. He's a biscuit away from being a tight end. You think Kelvin Benjamin?
He's a second coming.
That's sad.
Oh Lord.
So 2 names that y'all didn't mention that I want to ask y'all about. I'm not advocating saying they are a top free agent that's out there,
Yes, you are.
but I want to find out what's y'all thoughts on them. We were talking about it earlier, and Taylor probably caught this in the behind the scenes. One of the names is Le'Veon Bell, right? So Le'Veon Bell is still out there. Of course, he is not the Le'Veon Bell that was in Pittsburgh, which at that time was considered probably top 2-3 running backs in the league.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to get picked up by anybody and actually be able to help the team? Like, he got picked up last year by Kansas City, but he didn't do nothing in Kansas City. So are we looking at the end for Le'Veon Bell?
Yeah, but
It's not the end. I mean, it's not the end, but there's not a lot of teams he fits because he needs a dominant offensive line. So there's not that many teams that have that out there because he's not exactly going to hit the hole and run away from it. That's never been his game. It's dance until he sees an opening and you get 10, 15 yards before you get tackled. But now he's slowing down a little bit.
I got a question for y'all about Le'Veon Bell then because he's a dude likes to dance and wait for the hole and then burst through the hole. Is he more of a product of his offensive line? Because those Steelers offensive lines were amazing. I've seen running backs do things with no offensive line and be incredible. Is Le'Veon Bell a product of the is it a large portion of who he is now a product of the offensive line he got to play behind?
I think some teams or some players need more blocking than others. Like Aaron Jones wouldn't need that. He doesn't need an elite offensive line because he can get by mostly anybody on the field. But Le'Veon Bell, he needs half the guys to be blocked so he can get out there because he's not running past anybody. And he's damn sure not running past anybody anymore.
I think you mentioned a good point, though, with saying that, though, because there's not many running backs in the league, though. I think that can excel without an offensive line. And that's where you separate.
You want to talk about it? I'm glad you took it there.
So you think it's a lot
How many? No, I don't. How many dudes in the league you think can do it? Name them.
Saquon.
I'm glad you
Derrick
guys.
Henry.
I'm glad you guys have common sense. Who's the other? What's the
Derrick
name?
Derrick Henry.
McCaffrey.
Derrick Henry. You think so? Who else?
McCaffrey.
Okay. Yeah.
Aaron Jones that he just mentioned.
Okay.
That's 4 names right there.
I'd like to say Kamara because his balance is crazy.
Contact balance is
That's
amazing.
fair.
I think
That's
he would. I think he could do it. I think he could play well.
So that's 5 out of 32.
There's another guy I didn't name. What about Chubb?
Nick Chubb.
Chubb is incredible. He has a great offensive line, granted, but he puts people in the dirt. I don't know.
So we put Nick
If
Chubb in that
6?
conversation, right? That's 6. That's my point, though. So when we mention like Le'Veon, 6 out of the 32 teams. So most running backs need a great offensive line or at least decent offensive line.
Yeah.
Which then I think that's where you separate
The good from the great.
the good from the great. Like
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell is good.
I play in say this man
Offensive
Joe
line.
Mixon. You watch him?
I ain't stupid, bro.
No, I'm making sure.
He's not in that.
Nah, the one thing about Le'Veon Bell though, I wouldn't necessarily call it dancing. He does do some dancing, but I think it's more patience than anything. But again, that's because he's waiting for the holes to open up. He's waiting to pick and choose his spots.
At this point in his career, he's not a starter.
Is he
No.
washed? He's washed.
He's
he
too
washed?
far gone from that point.
He's washed. No,
Yes, he's
wanna-
washed. He's washed.
he's a washed. He's
Don't
washed.
say
I think
he's
it's hard.
washed.
I'm an advocate for him. I think it's hard to call him a wash due to the fact that we haven't seen when he was at his best, he was getting touches. We haven't seen him get a touch like that in so long because he went to the Chiefs where they already had Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and he was playing behind. And didn't they have Damian Williams too? So he's playing behind.
No, I get what you're saying. He should have went to a team that.
Going for that ring.
Yeah, he was ring chasing.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
If he gets a chance, he needs to get to the chance where with a team that he can actually tote the rock and show that he's not washed. Because at the end, this may be his last chance, to be honest. Like whatever team he goes to next, because you only get so many chances as a running back.
Another name I want to throw out there, and that's the last name that nobody mentioned, and just wanted to see where y'all heads at with this. Was one of the top defenders at one point. Was always in that conversation, and was with the Legion of Boom. Earl Thomas is still out there as a free agent. I don't think anybody has a question on the talent. Maybe it's declined a little bit, but part of the reason why he was cut and not on a team was really the off the field stuff. Do you think Earl Thomas gets another shot? And possibly what team you think could use Earl Thomas?
No, the Cowboys love their troubled people. They're troubled individuals. So I think he could be a Cowboy before too long. He's not the same player. He's clearly not the same player that he was. And honestly, you gotta blame the Seahawks for it too. Seahawks have some blame. I mean, he was in that contract dispute. They let him. He played because he had no choice. And what happened? I think he broke
Tore
his
ACL.
Tore his ACL, and then he flipped off the sideline on the way out. I mean, football is a brutal sport. You don't capitalize when in your prime, it can come back to haunt you, and that's what I feel bad for him for. But the off the field stuff the crazy thing about it is the off the field stuff may just be a manifestation of the frustration he feels because he never got that payday. He never got that payday. He never got. I mean, so my thing was he was with the Ravens last time I checked. No,
Yeah, he
That's
pretty
it.
good.
they cut him because of the off the field.
Yeah.
I hope he's back in the league. Because his play hasn't declined so much that he's horrible. He's not horrible at all. He still can play the position at a high level. It's just he isn't the same player he was with Seattle in his heyday.
But his running mate, Richard Sherman, he's still out there. And a lot of people are predicting he'll be back at the 49ers.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a great vet to have on your team. He's gonna lead your cornerback room, and he's gonna go out there and not make mistakes. If he makes a mistake, it's because he's just got bested by a better athlete because he's not the same guy, the same athlete anymore. But that's all. He's still worth bringing into your team, and you bring him on a vet minimum deal.
He's not gonna be out there playing man.
I was about to say.
They're not gonna have him. They're gonna put him in cover 3, cover 4 situations.
It would have to be a team that's playing that type of style.
Absolutely.
I mean,
he may not be a starter. He probably won't be a starter, but they'll put him in situations where he can thrive in.
real quick before we move on, who has the best secondary in football?
Best secondary in football.
I don't want to say the Giants because that's what you want to. That's what you
Just
wanna hear.
say
That's
it.
why-
Just say it because it's definitely true. But go ahead. If you're not gonna say, it, I just want to hear some dumb. I want to hear what you got to say. Some dumb stuff you about to say.
Who else comes to mind?
Look how hard he has to think just to find another team. That's called.
I don't think he's
ladies-
thinking hard to find another team. I just don't think he just wants to blurt out an answer on the
I
spot.
don't want to say like the Chargers, which that's completely wrong. But
Says
You know,
Chargers.
It's really not that hard. Chris, it's definitely
so
the
what's the
Bengals.
answer? What's the answer?
It's not the Bengals, so you ain't got to think that hard. Yo, who you think it is, bro? Antonio, what do you think?
I don't know, bro. I'm in my state. I was caught off.
This
guard
is
by one.
easy. It's the Giants. The Giants easily the best secondary in football. Their secondary is the reason why they were top 5 defense last year.
Good thing they don't crown champs from the offseason.
Yo, you gotta be kidding me, bro.
Yeah.
Yo, that's called being spiteful, ladies and gentlemen.
We have to we'll have to revisit this one and give us time to really, look into
You
it.
ain't have to be prepared. You ain't have to be prepared.
Look into it because I feel Giants is top 5 or whatever, but I wouldn't give them the top spot. I need to really look at the rosters and see like, and if we come back and after we do our research, I'll give it to the Giants if I do my research. Yeah, y'all see, I got notes, so I ain't had no notes on that one, so I gotta do some research on that topic. But one of the things we was talking about after the show, our last episode, you know, Greg and Miles was going back and forth talking about Bryce Harper and Lindor and players being overpaid and players not playing up to their contract.
This is easy. I don't even.
Well, it is easy.
This is an easy
but
answer
it's
to
worth
this
talking
question.
about because both of them aren't living up to the contract.
Go ahead and ask the question. This is not hard.
Yeah, the question I was going to ask though. So you mentioned two players that some people feel are not playing up to their contract. Do you think the MLB should consider maybe changing up the contract so you don't have these 13-year, $290 million contracts and they only play well 2-3 years out of the contract?
There's a lot of pressure to come with those contracts. That's the reality of it. But forget the common theme is that no matter who gets those contracts, no matter where they're playing, they don't play well when they're on these big deals because this team invested a lifetime deal into you essentially. No one lives up to it. Albert Pujols didn't live up to it in Los Angeles when he signed with them. So no, it's not that simple. It's not that simple. I think that they can continue to give out those deals, but if you're going to give out that deal, you got to give it to a guy who's one of one. He's one of one. There's not many guys that are one of one. Not many guys deserve a 13-year deal. Too many guys in the MLB get those deals, and they usually get them. The problem with baseball, too, is you have to do 7 years of MLB service before you're considered a free agent. That's your prime. The team that drafts you has your best years. They have the rights to your best years off the rip. So then when that guy hits free agency when he's almost 30, he's not the same player anymore. That's the reality of it. What the Padres did was genius with Fernando Tatis Jr. It's genius. They understand. Let's extend him when he's in his first 7 years of MLB service. Let's extend the contract. Let's get him the 13-year deal early. We'll get his best years. He hasn't dipped. He's playing great. He hasn't dipped. If I were the Angels, I would give the Ohtani guy a big deal right now too. Pitching and hitting the way he is, I give him the deal right now. Lock it up, especially when you got Albert Pujols' money off the books. Well, they may still be paying him, but let's face it, there's different money in baseball. So I would do it now. I wouldn't wait the way he plays. As amazing as he is, I wouldn't wait. That's the problem. The Indians couldn't invest in Lindor early on during his best years. Those first 7 years were incredible. And now that he's in the Mets, and it's totally. Look, it's early. I'm not gonna overreact to him being here. It's early. I'm not doing it. I'm not having it. Has he played well? No. But when you sign that kind of deal and you play in New York City, that is not going to be easy. It's going to take some adjusting to. This ain't Ohio anymore. Like, this is not it. You have people at your games. Like, people care. Mets fans are different. Like, New York fans are different across the board. So it's just a different level of intensity. When you have a bad game, people are talking about it. So, no, man, like, I'm not going to overreact to it. I think he's going to bounce back and play a lot better. I think they'll get some really good years out of him. For the way I see it is, if you get 5 to 7 good years out of that contract, you won. That's a good deal. I'll take it because clearly no one has been the anomaly here and played well all 13, 14 years of the long-term deal. It hasn't happened. And baseball is a game of streaks in and of itself. So you almost can't expect it unless you're dealing with the Ken Griffey type, right? And not many guys are of that mold.
What do you think about Mike Trout so far in his contract?
Phenomenal. He's earned every penny. He's been great every year he's been on the field.
But it's not going to look good towards the end, though, for Mike Trout.
We don't know. I mean, it's good to see. I think he's one of those generational players.
He's been hurt the last couple
I know
years.
that. Yeah, I know. And that's what I'm saying. Outside of the injuries.
This could be a recurring theme.
Outside of the injuries, he's been phenomenal. He's on the field. You can't question who the best player in baseball is.
Of course.
And then they have him and they have Ohtani. Like, come on, bro. They're cooking with gas over there. They just suck as an organization in getting talent. That's the problem. They should be a team that competes for World Series. See, baseball's so much different. These guys don't control their own destinies because they lock into these 13-year deals to set their kids up. I get it. I would do the same thing. But my son will play baseball. That's what he's going to be doing. Just basketball, all that. No, he's going to be baseball. If you want to play basketball, I'll welcome it. But it's going to be baseball.
He doesn't believe that.
Yeah,
He'll play baseball, though. He'll play baseball.
Old coach, he know darn well he see his son. Boy, throw it
Let me tell you. Let me tell you something right now, yo. My kid's gonna be cold. This basketball stuff, bro. this basketball stuff.
Doubling back.
Boy,
Doubling back.
girl.
That's
If they gonna play ball though, they're gonna be cold.
You gonna make a kid play ball?
I'm not gonna make them play ball, but if they play ball, Ariana tap in. You could tag her in this. Ariana tap in. Our kid's gonna be cold. And he or she going to the league. Period.
Hey, Ma, share
Nah, I'm
with,
not putting that on.
hey,
whatever they
Ma,
want to do.
share with our listeners, though, what was you talking about concerning Bryce Harper? Because he came up in the conversation when we were talking about, players not living up to their contract.
So with Bryce Harper, he's been so hyped since high school that, it was always inevitable. If he had a couple good years, he signed some huge deal, which it also comes from the players' agents too. Like a lot of them are under Scott Boras, and he's known to get guys top dollar. So that's what he did in this situation. But he's kind of he's a great player, but 260, 270-ish sprinkle. He has to have at least like 30, 40 home runs a year and 100 RBIs to justify this contract. Because right now he's hitting 274.
Was he ever an average hitter though? He was never average.
His MVP year.
Yeah, that's an anomaly year. Where it was 303, like 303 that year or
He
something.
hit like 330.
Holy crap!
I know.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's a year. I forgot about that year. I don't know how. I think that was the year they first signed Daniel Murphy. I think he won MVP, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at it, every other year he's been below 270. So it's like the older you get,
His
just
swing's so
miraculously
long.
get better at hitting.
His swing's so long.
Yeah.
I didn't think he'd ever hit for average like that. I thought that one year was an anomaly again. His swing is so long. Like he swings to crush the ball every time. And guys like that typically don't hit for average. So I didn't expect him to never be a guy who hit for average. I never thought that'd be the case at any point. But yes, he is not living to the contract. There's no other way to put it. I just don't think that anyone does. I think the only anomaly you're going to find is Fernando Tatis Jr. As you watch him continue to grow, because he has so much room to grow in the game, and he's so talented and physically athletic. That's a different part of it too.
Hey, Chris, do you think that the MLB should look into changing these contracts? But Greg mentioned a great point. The first 7 years, they have your prom. Hey, you got to go with that.
You're playing for free.
Do you think that on the player side, then, that there should be the players' union should maybe look into this where they change up the structure, where it's not your first 7 years and the players actually have some more control, as you see in the NBA, for example, where they have more control over their career. Because as Greg mentioned, hey, forget the World Series. I need to get this money so that all my kids for the next 7 generations are set up. Do you think the MLB, the Players Association, should look into maybe restructuring these contracts?
I think so, because this kind of ties into what we were talking about on our last episode, right? When we're talking about the motivators that people have when they're in the league, right? So if I'm someone that's coming into the league and I know that, like, hey, after my first 7 years, I'm getting all this money on this long-term deal, I may be able to slack off how I train in the offseason because I know that money's there. I know I'm bringing in that bread, right? So I definitely think it'd be wise to restructure it while the players are in their prime, so that it's beneficial for both parties. It's beneficial for the players, and it's going to be beneficial for the organization too, to not be blowing this money down the line where you paying these people, a $13 million, not $13 million, a 13-year contract, right? And you paying them between $250 and $300 million for them, to Greg's point, to only play good, 2 to 4 of those years. That's a lot of money to be wasting.
I think it's something to look at. Well, as Greg said, when kids come about, if they pick up a baseball bat, I ain't got no problems. Take care of me and Nikki. For sure.
That's it.
Because these contracts in baseball something different.
Yep.
These jokers be set like it was 2-3 years after A-Rod retired. They still was paying that man.
It's crazy.
These contracts is different in baseball.
Different. It's always been like that too.
It's crazy how it's allowed.
Before we transition up, we're going to transition to the flag on the play segment. I just want to ask Greg if he wants to change his pick on Miami, because right now they're losing 100-73. Do you still think Miami's going to be able to
You say get
this series out.
You can't change his pick.
No, obviously the Heat are going to lose the series. Obviously they're going to lose. This
They're going to get swept?
They might. I mean, they don't. They're not competitive. I don't really know. I saw Bam's play is horrible. I saw obviously Tyler Hero is not playing to the same level he played at last year, which again I think people are going to overreact to it. I think that when you're in the NBA and you're coming up, then you're going to go through some slumps. You're going to go through some ups and downs. So that's going to happen. I sure as hell don't want to hear from Knicks fans about Tyler Hero, okay? because it ain't like your rookie, the guy y'all chose, didn't have his slump. He in and out of slumps far too often. Okay, I saw Tyler Hero ball out in the playoffs last year. I feel better about him. But
Bubble boy.
But you can say that. But see, it's so crazy because last year did RJ play with no fans in the arenas?
We didn't get a chance to because we were that bad.
Nah, last year they had a season though before they went to the bubble though. Oh yeah, they did, but pre-COVID.
I'm talking about just the regular season.
Pre-COVID.
Well, yeah, I mean, there was a learning curve.
Tyler Hero balled out last year all throughout the year. It wasn't he's not no bubble boy. He did it all throughout the year. Look, you're getting me off topic. The point is, Heat are going to lose series. I was definitely wrong. I'll admit when I'm wrong on the show. I got no problem admitting when I'm wrong. Everybody's wrong. Half y'all listen to the show is wrong all the time. but with the Heat, this is a knock. Jimmy Butler surprised me, man. I'm surprised. You can't get swept if you're Jimmy, bro. I hold Jimmy in too high a regard for him to get swept. But let's just see how this all plays out. I don't really know what's broken with them yet. I haven't been able to watch as many of these games as I would have liked to have watched. But from what I've seen, Bam's play is alarmingly bad. And then no one else is seemingly playing great at all. So he'd have to make some major structural changes because if they don't, they're in some trouble. I don't know what they're going to do because they went out and got Vic.
I don't think they sign him back.
They're not going to sign him back with the injury. No way. And if they do, he'll be back on a very team friendly deal. He wanted to be in Miami in the first place anyway. So with no state tax, collect all $2 million you're gonna make next year or something like that. And he'll play great, and then he'll re-up.
I don't know about play great. I didn't like what I saw from him so far.
Well, his quad was falling off his bone again, so it's just hard. It's just hard to know exactly what you're gonna get from him. I think the team.
If they get swept, I might have to go find the clip where I was trying to tell you that Jimmy Butler wasn't a superstar. But
I don't know if anyone. I don't know. You have to go back. I don't know if I said he was a superstar per se. I said he was on the cusp. I said he's like you can argue it. I think that's what I might have been saying.
Maybe you said that. Maybe you said
but then
star. Maybe you said a planet. I don't know what you said, but I said he wasn't that. That's all I said. I just wanted to throw that out there. So when he gets swept as your leader of the team, they got the Miami Heat culture, and they got Jimmy Butler culture, and neither worked out. So if they get swept, I'm putting that on Jimmy's head, not Ben, not Tyler. Even though he probably would. What's your boy Jack Harlow? He probably run partying somewhere. So maybe that's why. But I would put it on Jimmy's head.
Jimmy deserves some blame for that, and you can hold him accountable for sure. I mean,
some blame.
Hold these guys accountable. It's fine because I'm a Bron fan, so you don't think I know what it looks like to be held almost irresponsibly accountable for crap that that's not your fault. Then yeah, you hold all these guys accountable. I don't know why Miles up over here like that.
Flag on the play segment. Except for the client. Let me know if y'all want to talk about it. Chris sent this to the chat. We had to bring it up. Brandon Jacobs wants to come out of retirement and play defensive end.
I can see it.
Except for the client. He looks in good shape, but I don't know about defensive end.
He looks in good shape. And look, man, these guys need to know when to give it up. I feel like a lot of these guys are just money chasing at this point. Like, I want to, like, they spent all their money and they want to come back and start.
Did you see Tebow? You see it?
Tebow look jacked, bro. Hey, I want to see what he does. I ain't gonna hold you. I was talking a little crap a few weeks ago, but I want to see what Tebow does because Tebow looked like he earned a chance to.
He ain't earned nothing.
Hey, Greg, I'm gonna read you what.
He didn't earn anything.
I said that to set you up.
He's annoying me,
I
bro.
want to read you what came from Brandon Jacobs. He said, I am really serious about coming back as defensive end. I'm only reading this because you just mentioned Tebow.
Yeah.
He says in his tweet, I can still run. I am strong, and there is no way Tim Tebow, White Jesus, is a better athlete than I am.
Jesus.
I just need a shot. That's it. If I can't cut it, I'll take it like a man. Just give me one chance. That's all. And then he tweeted a picture of him shirtless, looking in shape. To your team, Giants, I am ready to hit sack any quarterback out.
I'm rocking with it. I love it. I love it. Let's see how long it takes, because he played the race card. He played the race card. That's a topic I specialize in. So that's a topic I specialize in. So I don't think he'll get picked up by a team, because it's not the same when you're black, right? You don't get the same benefit of the doubt.
How old is Brandon Jacobs?
38.
38. Well, how old is Tim Tebow?
I like him.
33.
Tim Tebow sucks.
Yeah, Tim Tebow 33. That's the same age Jesus went to heaven.
He sucks, bro. Come on, man. Yo, I don't like the Tim Tebow thing. The phenomenon to me is all based in religion and race. I love it. We could do a podcast in and of itself on Tim Tebow, why he's getting this second chance, beyond the fact that he's white. But the religion card plays a difference. People want him to be good so bad, so that way they can push their narratives about their faith and things like that. And, I am a person who believes in God. I am a faithful person. But no, it's not. This is more a story about privilege than anything else. And I think it gets mixed up. So
yeah, people love to manipulate it and turn it in their favor and flip it out that
twist
way,
it and all that. Like, no, don't do that. The guy shouldn't be here. And if Brandon Jacobs wants to make that point by posting a shirtless pic and saying, let's go, pick me up, Giants, so be it. I hope that the Giants won't do that, because we're a serious organization with aspirations of doing big things this year, winning 11 games. But
he should have tagged Jacksonville. They probably got a shot.
Yeah.
He should have tagged Jacksonville.
Yeah.
They clout chasing.
Exactly.
Transition. I said transition. Next one, flag on the play. Because it's two of them that we're going to have to talk about, and we already mentioned it. But I'm going to separate the two. Kyrie Irving came out and said after the game, going to Boston, they're up 2-0. It's not my first time being an opponent in Boston. I'm just looking forward to competing with my teammates, and hopefully we can just keep it strictly basketball. There's no belligerence or racism going on, subtle racism or people yelling ish from the crowd. Danny Ainge responded. I never heard any of that from any player that I've ever played with in my 26 years in Boston. I never heard that before from Kyrie, and I talked to him quite a bit. Marcus Smart responded saying, yeah, I've heard it. I've heard a couple of things. It's hard to hear that and then have them support us as players. It's kind of sad and sickening.
I love it.
First off, before y'all go, I just want to say this. Danny Ainge. I never heard any of that from any player that I've played with in my 26 years in Boston. You have a completely different experience. And this is what we sometimes and often see. Our Caucasian brothers who are completely numb and unaware of to what we go through every day. And we don't talk about it. So they don't know. And we saw that a lot during the pandemic. We were having those conversations, and it was a lot of people that were just like, I did not know. I was unaware. I was ignorant to it. The other thing is what Marcus Smart alluded to. You played for the organization. Y'all didn't have to worry about that. And for those that's listening, NSFW on this part, close your ears, but this is the reality of it. When you were playing with them, the black teammates you had, those teammates was Boston's nigga. We had no problem with that nigga, but every other nigga, we was going to say what we wanted to say, our racial comments, which is what Marcus Smart is saying. It makes no sense because, you're playing for us, we like you. You could jump, you could move, you're entertaining. But when this other black people come, they really show their true colors. And it really just shows you, we don't really rock with you. That's why Kyrie says that. When I was there, it was no problem. When Kyrie was in a Celtics jersey, we love Kai. We love Kai. Mm-hmm. We love him. And this is where people was getting on his case. Why is he burning sage? This is what he was burning sage for. I don't agree with burning sage, but this is why he was burning sage. When he went back to Boston to not have to deal with this. And it's absolutely crazy and unacceptable that this is still happening. and it's unacceptable by Danny Ainge to say a comment like that. And to me, that's a bold-faced lie. It's a bold-faced lie because Marcus Smart plays for you right now, so that's a bold-faced lie, and that's again,
he's an
America.
Idiot. Danny Ainge is an idiot. Didn't he play at the peak of the Bird Magic rivalry? The Bird Magic rivalry centered around race. Black people was rocking with Magic. White people was rocking with Bird. White people were rocking with the Celtics. Black people were rocking with the Lakers. That's at the peak of this. That's what it's all centered around. You were involved with one of the most racially tense sports rivalries in sports history. And to act like you never heard that your fan base was racist by any chance. I mean, are you serious? Like, for real? Like, to act like that, you see, it was a bold-faced lie. It was evil intent behind that. Yo, he's not a good dude. Like, I don't care what anyone says, you're not a good dude. Because you know, the era you played in, it was loaded with racial tension. You know, at that time too, people were out here being flagrantly racist out here. Like, it's not subtle. Racism's a little more subtle now. It is still horrible because you get it in spurts where it's just terrible and it still exists. But back then, the things that white people felt empowered they could say to black people, and it's still bad to now. It's still horrible now, but then it was even worse. And to act like he doesn't know that, to play dumb when he hears Kyrie say that, to me, like, that's intentionally evil. That's intentionally evil. So, Danny Ainge is a bad dude. That's a bad dude. Ainge should lose your job because you suck at your job. Yeah, you suck at your job.
Yeah, outside even the comments.
Outside the comments, you shouldn't even be it. The only reason why you have your job is because you're white and you play for the organization. How the hell back in the 80s when these guys is playing, and we know what it is. This sport is dominated by black people. Dominated. That your roster is 95% white. That is intentional. I look at all these teams. Dallas has history of, and the players are great. Luka Doncic is amazing. He out here hooping better than most of these brothers. That's a fact. I'm not saying otherwise. But Dirk too. But at the same time, like, I raise an eyebrow because you intentionally try to get white superstars. Mark Cuban, I'm looking at him sideways. I don't know about anybody else. I've always felt that way about the Dallas Mavericks. I look at him sideways. I look at the Celtics sideways. Obviously, they go get Jason Tatum. They go get Paul Pierce, right? It's fine, right? But it's if they could have it their way, don't you think they'd rather have a white superstar there? In Boston?
I think they
Boston?
They would have wished Gordon Hayward worked out.
Oh my God. The whole point of Gordon Hayward was for this reason. That's what we're talking about. They talked themselves into him. He's not ass, but like he's no star. He's a fringe all-star. Fringe. On the cusp. On a good year, he might trip into the All-Star game. That's the kind of player we're talking about. He's a role player. He's a very good role player. But they try to play him like a star. How did Charlotte pay that man 120? That makes no sense.
Oh, hey Chris, you play football, and I already know. I can imagine the craziest things and stuff you've heard. What's your take on this and like having to play in an environment like that?
Having to play in an environment like that is hectic. Your mind wanders into what the people are saying and not the assignment that you have on that given play, right? You start, looking into the fan section and listening to the people. It's hard to block that out is what I'm trying to say. The thing that I'm thinking of now is Danny Ainge made these comments, right? And you got your own players like Marcus Smart talking about, like, I've heard this. I'm on the team. I'm a black man, and I've heard this. And I've only been here a few years. You've been here damn near a while, and you talking about this is you've never heard anything like this. So it's a bold-faced lie. So I'm thinking of the tension that this is going to create within the team for Jason Tatum, for Jaylen Brown, for Marcus Smart, Tristan Thompson.
Jaylen Brown during that whole pandemic.
Leading the charge down south of the protest. One of your players was leading the charge downtown of the protest, and you gonna sit up here and talk about I never had a clue that our fan base was racist. Yo, listen, this isn't anything new. The Boston Red Sox players a few years ago were talking about this when a fan came to the I forget the player's name. But a fan came to the game and started heckling and saying, dropping the N-word and whatnot, and telling them to go back to wherever they came from and stuff like that. This isn't anything new in Boston. Boston has been racist for quite a long time. But going back to your original point of, what it's like, being a player, playing in that type of environment, it's hard to focus. It's hard to focus because at the end of the day, like, you're being called nasty names. And again, some players can handle it better than others, but it's horrible that players have to go through that. I mean, it's not related, but we kind of saw what Russ went through last night. Getting food thrown on him is different. But you got to think, like, I'm sure that's more than basketball at that point, right? That's, you kind of said it. That's racial tension. That's a fan thinking I can do whatever I want to you because I'm untouchable. One because he thinks he's a fan. Two, right? But again, it all boils down to race at the end of the day.
Do black fans be doing that stuff?
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't see a black fan throw popcorn on another black. Even on white people, we don't do that too.
Was that fan who spit on Trae Young black or white?
White. Transition.
This is crazy.
Perfect transition. Trae Young got spit on. Ja Morant parents, it came out. I don't know if Facebook came out, but it came out that Jazz fans, which they had their issues too in Utah, were saying racist things to Ja Morant's parents, and then you got popcorn thrown on Russ. What's going on with the fans, man?
This is America.
Oh, of course, it's America. Let me know what's your thoughts on everything that's happening. Like, we've all been wanting to have fans back, and we got them back, and they are, I won't even say tweaking, they just being themselves. And one of them's at MSG, where we would think Northeast, we're more conservative here. We don't have that outright racism that you see in the South. But people, I think situations like this is great because you realize it's all over America. And I think it's just completely crazy that the fans felt comfortable and thought they could actually do this. And before you go, I'm in agreement of what LeBron said. Publicly release the name of the fan that threw popcorn on Russ. Publicly release the name of the person that spit on Trae Young.
And charge him with assault.
Exactly. Publicly release the names of people saying racist comments to Ja Morant's parents. Don't let them just be able to go and hide in. We banned them from the game.
Go back to work the next day. They can't be
season fans.
They should lose their jobs. They should face consequences, real life consequences. Besides, I can't go to a game. They should lose their jobs. Release their names. I agree with it. There should be real life consequences for stuff like that. You spit on somebody, bro.
That's the most disrespectful thing to do.
There's nothing more disrespectful. Yo, what? Release their names, bro. That's the closest thing you're gonna get to any type of like actual vindication, any kind of actual justice. Release their names. They should lose their job. They should be fired. Effective. If it's gonna force the company's hand, whoever they work for, wherever they go.
Hey, Twitter, get to work, yeah. I know Twitter is great at that. That needs to be released because, in a sense, what punishment is that? There are 31 other teams in the NBA. They can still go to another arena and pull the same thing. Shoot, you had the Knicks and the Hawks series. The dude spit on them, right? All right, you can't. They came out. The person isn't a season fan holder, so they can't do that punishment to them. But man, we see all the time. Fights to Atlanta right now at $60. I go fly to Atlanta and do the same thing. You feel me? Like, what real punishment is coming of? Oh, they can't buy tickets anymore. They can't come to the game.
That's a good question. I mean, that's where if you name the names, then it's known everywhere. And it messes them up with their jobs and their everyday life too. Now people are coming at them. And now jobs won't hire them because you want to act up at a game where you paid tickets to see these people play, not the other way around. So
and the players are doing what you just mentioned, their jobs. Mm-hmm. So in their workplace, they can't be comfortable to be able to work because somebody's spitting on them, somebody throwing popcorn on them. But then you see the malice at at the Palace. And people was going crazy, upset at Ron Artest, upset at Jermaine O'Neal. Those fans were just as much in the wrong. If we really go back and watch that film, and we could transition after this, because this is really like a whole other episode of dealing with race in sports and how a lot of times the fans just get away with everything. But Ron Artest was chilling. He was laying down. My man was doing what he was working on with his anger. They was fighting. My man said, I'm out of this. He wasn't even fighting with Ben Watson. He wasn't fighting. What ticked Ron Artest off was a fan who threw popcorn and beer at him. Go back and watch the film if you haven't. Ron Artest was chilling. And a nice part of his career was taken away and got this whole, of course, he was always a bad boy, but a nice part of his career. That year, the Pacers probably would have been in the finals. That changed everything. And it was a fan. Everybody wants to, Ron Artest is such a bad guy. He was actually chilling that night. Yeah, it was the hard foul on Ben Wallace, but then he laid down on the stand and a fan threw something on him.
I'm gonna leave this with this. Like we talked about, we said, hey, are there any black fans doing this? Is my primarily white fans doing this? This all circles back to racism at the end of the day. We could loop everything back to race, but yeah, this circles back to racism at the end of the day because it takes it back to a time where black people were just for show out here, entertainment, right? Or we can go and watch these specimens almost is the way they look at black people, right? And we can do whatever we want when we're in these public spaces because they're here to entertain us. They owe us that. That's what they're good for. That's the way they look at this. It's no different. It's the same mentality from Jim Crow, the same mentality from slavery to now. It's just manifested itself in a different way. When these fans go to these sports arenas, they act this way. They come out of pocket because they feel like they can get away with that kind of stuff, period. That's what it is. So you release the names. You can do whatever you're going to do. The NBA can take whatever steps they want to take. You need to address the fact that it is racism. Draw the line, draw the parallels and say, hey, like we also see a pattern here that it's white fans doing this. It's not black fans, it's white fans doing this. So let's just call this what it is. It's racism. And that's not going to be tolerated, period. And if they do that, I can respect the way the NBA is handling it. But if you want to penalize these people as if it's just a regular thing, well, you don't call it for what it is. It's gonna allow them to continue to do this because the key word, the most sensitive word out there right now is racism. It's what everyone's talking about right now. Seems to be the hot topic right now. So you got to call for what it is. Draw that parallel between these things because that's exactly what it is. Period.
Complete facts. It's something that the NBA needs to look at, and I think if you make it a legal thing, I think you'll see it taken more serious, and I think you'll see a lot more people. They can still be racist, but they know, if I do this at an NBA game and I'm caught, name will be released.
Prison time.
I'm getting arrested.
Prosecuted.
Right.
Spitting on somebody, that's assault. I'm very intrigued, and we'll be watching closely what happens with this person. You do that anywhere else. You spit on somebody. That
you might not make it home that day. You might not make it home that day.
You might not. You're going to see your maker, whether it's God or Satan. You're going to see your maker after that. You going to spit on somebody? Nah, that's not enough to just be like, you can't come to the game. So if the NBA really wants to make serious change in that regard with how the fans interact, which is the part of the greatest thing about basketball, the fans are able to interact. They see the people, unlike football, unless they take their helmet off, you sometimes don't see the players. Look, if you want that to still be a part of the greatest aspect of the fans interacting with the players, then y'all need to start making changes in that regard. Transition to our last topic before we close, because we already know Lakers game is on right now. Lakers are up 7-5. Just keeping y'all updated on that regard. Clippers, the team, they little brothers that's on the other side. Luka Doncic is doing whatever he wants, as you alluded to. It used to be, white men can't jump. White players aren't as good as black players. I tell you this much. You can't say that about Luka. Because Luka is making two black players specifically, Kawhi and Paul George, look very elementary. What's your takes on the Clippers? Because I think personally, this don't work out, which is probably not, Kawhi's going to be gone. And if Kawhi's gone, they don't have any picks. So the Clippers are going to be really, really bad. Like, really, really bad. And Steve Ballmer bought a whole new arena for them to go play in. And they're going to suck.
Can you run back the tape when me saying that Kawhi is overrated? Is that okay? Can we run it back?
We run it back. I don't think anybody on this show was out of agreement with you.
I don't know, bro. It was mighty. I don't know, bro. It was quiet. I ain't getting no feedback from nobody. Miles ain't really saying nothing. Miles was sitting here. I don't really know, man. I just want y'all to run that tape back because I be on these things. That's why I be saying tapping with the bench mob because I really do this. Like I really do this.
Is it him or is it his sidekick who hasn't really?
Let's plug LeBron in for Kawhi right now. LeBron playing with Pandemic P. What's happening in this series?
That's different.
No, it's not. You know why it's not different? Because when Kawhi got to LA, you drop a commercial with New Balance talking about you're the king of LA. You took a shot at Bron, and you missed. You missed far left.
And he better not leave then, because now you're running from smoke.
You
running.
He's gonna leave because he's a
front runner.
He's as good as the table is set for him. That's what Kawhi is. Kawhi is a great player, but he's great when the weather's nice. When the weather's nice, when the players there around him are good, when there's an ecosystem in place. He's not the system. Kawhi is not the system. Kawhi is something to make your system function better, way better. Optimize your system. LeBron is the system. There is no one like LeBron. LeBron is the guy who goes to your team and things just work. Things just work. There's no one like him. There's no one like him. So this whole taking shots at Bron thing, I need to stop. I need to stop. We can get back to the Clippers, but the whole taking shots at Bron thing, nobody NBA, no one in the league has it. No one can talk to him.
Something that you just said, though, is real good when you look at the difference of the players. We're looking at this series right now with the Lakers series, right? And game one, we already mentioned game one. He don't really do his thing. Last game, right? If you really watch closely to what LeBron is doing, and LeBron has been doing throughout his career, right? LeBron, we all know, and occasionally he'll do it just to remind y'all, he can get 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 points at 80 point if he wanted to. Something I want to point out, and I'll try to plug this clip in. He kicks it out, and I was watching the game. He kicks it out to KCP, who hasn't been really hitting this series. KCP passed it up. I don't even think they scored in that possession. You see Bron pull him to the side at the timeout, yelling at him, I want you to shoot the effing ball. This is where he is different from Kawhi. LeBron purposely is pulling back from him really dominating and scoring, and this is why he's considered the GOAT, because he's making sure, hey, I know I need AD. I need AD to play well. I need KCP to play well. I need you to play well. I need Kuzma to play well. So I got shots. These boys in Phoenix can't guard me.
No.
But, hey, I need AD to play well. I need AD confidence to be up. Go get your buckets, boy. Go get your buckets. KCP, shoot the ball, bro. If you look at that play, LeBron could have just kept posting up. Big body bends.
To a fade,
lay,
whatever you want.
They kicked it out. That's where, in that conversation, where I think Kawhi's flaw is. This year, his assists have gone up, but in total of his career, he does not make his teammates better and does not put his teammate in position to succeed.
I tell people all the
LeBron
time.
with Paul George, I promise you, would put Paul George in position to succeed consistently.
Be better.
And we wouldn't be in a situation. And
he wouldn't get slandered.
You mentioned, Paul George. I just want to throw this out there. Last game, right? Mind you, Clippers is home, which is bad. They lost both games at home. Kawhi, I don't know if you remember, had 31 points at the half. You know how much he finished with? 10 points in the second half. As a team, they gave up 73 points in the first half. This the whole team, but this is the thing. I agree. Some of his playing mates are playing well. But as you said, you came out with that New Balance commercial.
Yeah, you want to smoke.
You supposed to be the leader of this team. So with being the leader of the team, and this is all sports, Joe Burrow, with you being the leader of the team, that's falling on your head first. So in my opinion, this is why I love Dame so much. Hey, Dame probably never gonna win a ring.
Shows up for the big moment though.
Shows up for the big moment, and Dame ain't running from it. I really feel Kawhi about to dip out to this. And bro, you ain't complete what you was supposed to do when you came there. You wanted to be the head. You talking about, oh yeah, it wasn't a fluke and what happened in Toronto? Nah, baby boy.
Don't talk to me about
it's different.
Just don't ever talk to me about being better than Bron ever again. KD, same thing. Just don't do it. And don't talk to me about assist numbers. I was telling dudes laughed at me. I said, yo, you get just because a guy averages a lot of assists don't mean that he makes winning plays. Doesn't mean that he's a great playmaker. That's not what makes you a great playmaker. A great playmaker understands where the ball has to go to go before it gets to where it has to end up. I see the game 2-3 steps ahead. That's Bron. Bron will throw the pass to the guy who's gonna get the assist, to the guy who's gonna make the big play because he understands situation, he understands matchups, he understands defense, he understands rotations. On the last play of the game, he's telling guys where to go. There's so much about Bron that makes him the GOAT that people just don't see. The only way you really think LeBron is the GOAT, the only way you think LeBron is the greatest player of all time is if you know basketball in a way that most people don't. That's the only way. Because the only way you think you could think Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. I'm sorry, we're getting off topic. I'm just saying, this is something if you think Michael Jordan's the greatest player of all time, if you just watch it for the fluff stuff. Oh, he jumps in the air. Oh, Jordan logo. Oh, he scored a lot of points. Oh my God. Basketball is so much more than scoring points, yo. The best players you'll play with at a damn park are the guys who will barely shoot the ball because they're smart as hell. They know where the ball has to go. They set you up. They make the game easy. Bron not only does that, but he can score with the likes of a guy like he can score with Jordan. He can score with these guys. Like he really can. He really does this, bro. Yo, run that applying pressure for me. Run that J. Cole part where you talking. That's Bron. That's really Bron. That's really him. That's J. Cole was really just channeling his inner Bron at that moment. But as far as we take it back to the Clippers, we knew. I chose the Clippers in 7. But I think the fact that I chose them in 7 tells you what I think about the Clippers. They should win the series in 6, 5.
Where do the Clippers go from here? I think it's safe to say they're going to lose the series. Where do the Clippers go from here? No picks, as you mentioned.
It's all dictated on what Kawhi does. That's about it. I mean, if he stays, then you try to make it work. But if he leaves, then Paul George is most likely going to leave when he's up next, too. And then you're right.
He's on that extension. Paul George knew that his value out here was declining. Pandemic peak.
I think
he signed that extension quickly.
I think if Kawhi doesn't out,
is there? He shouldn't opt out if I were him. I wouldn't do it.
You think right? If Kawhi does leave, Paul George game will be better.
It would, but it wouldn't necessarily lead to them being a better team.
Mm-hmm.
Like he put up better numbers because he's the main guy, but like this team as constructed is not a championship team.
So what do you think they need to do to fix this? They don't have any picks, so they can't get it through the draft. Players, trust and believe, are watching this year after year. I don't know if any player will want to sign there with them. What do the Clippers do to try to fix this? You said the team currently construction is not a championship team. What are they lacking that they can possibly try to fix?
They're in the dreaded stalemate. There's no move for them really to make that'll make them better. They don't have picks to trade. So.
Take on bad contracts that get add draft capital.
But then you're wasting years on all these guys' prime years.
Well, you're assuming Kawhi's gonna stay. I know Kawhi's gonna run away. Kawhi will try to go to the Knicks. I pray it happens. Go to the Knicks, please. Do it.
I don't want to see him sit out 20 games.
I think the Knicks should be. I think the Knicks should benefit from it. Yeah, but I think he'll watch. I mean, he's a legitimate guy. The Knicks can go get. Legit this summer. Y'all want to celebrate New York? Go ahead, get Kawhi. Legitimate target. Because I don't think Kawhi is staying there. It is stale, and they can't get a point guard. And the point guard is the reason why they aren't that good. They haven't gotten a point guard that can really play. It's so quick. Yeah, but Rondo is great in spurts. They need a consistent point guard. They are running Pat Beverly out there and starting him. No NBA team, no team in the league that has championship aspiration should be starting Patrick Beverly. because he gives you nothing offensively, and defensively he's just literally he's literally a mismatch against these bigger point guards. It is hard to win.
So what happened when he was beat up on Luka?
Yeah, I saw that, man. Luka told me he was too
That's
small.
gonna be like that every
Luka
time.
told me he was too small in Slovenian too. That's the worst part. He didn't even say it in English.
Hey, we'll have to definitely see what happens with the Clippers. Lakers are up 19-16. It's not looking good for the Clippers. They're gonna have to probably blow this whole thing up.
I'm so happy they're gonna lose.
And
I'm so happy.
I know somebody that's going to be highly upset, and shoot, he might win out too. Steve Ballmer. It's not looking like that great of an investment. I don't think he's gonna win with this Clippers team. You might just want to use it as another little source of income because how the team is currently constructed, and they're in a stalemate. They can't do nothing about it.
You might want to move his seats a little further up so we don't have to see him dancing all the time. Because it doesn't look good when your team is losing.
Do me a favor, don't compare the Clippers to the Nets ever again. Just don't do
Don't
it.
compare the Clippers to the Lakers either. I do.
People do it because people do it because they say the little brother thing, but with the Nets or the Knicks little brother, which to me got to be all NSFW. I want to say that it gets me all messed up because ain't no way anybody the Knicks little brother. Nobody. No matter how many fans they got, no matter how many fans are out there acting fool, spitting on people. Guess where people weren't getting spit on? In the Barclays Center.
That's because it's so dim in there, you can't see if somebody's
Nah, ain't nobody getting spit on. You know damn well. Y'all don't know how to act. Y'all don't know how to act.
Lights, please.
Yesterday, what happened? Yesterday, it was the first playoff win in 8 years. In 8 years.
I think
8
progress.
years. That's not progress, it's mediocrity. 8 years.
I think Steve Ballmer should consider not moving and stay actually there. Save somebody. See if you could, renege on that contract because they don't deserve anyone to renege. They should continually keep looking up at the Raptors and seeing the Lakers championships, the Lakers numbers retired because they don't deserve to have their own arena after a year again like this and probably going to get swept. I don't even care if they make it a series and it's 7. Even if they win the series, this is absolutely unexcusable for what y'all are brought here for. And again, we're going to keep going back to this and harping on this. Kawhi's commercial coming to the Clippers. It's not aging well. And if you decide to leave, it really don't age well because you can't come for the king, miss, and then you want to leave.
They also dodged the king too. They dodged Braun too. They dodged him. They dodged him for this matchup, and they getting their ass kicked.
Hold up, did they dodge him, or did they really want to play this team again and try to
Mavericks?
Yeah.
They did it. They didn't think that either way. They did thinking that they had an easier matchup playing against Dallas than they would have with the Lakers. So they ain't ducking smoke.
Tyronn Lue knew the vibes. As him as the head coach, he
You don't want to play Braun?
He know exactly. He know the vibes.
You don't want to play
Know the
Braun?
vibes. But y'all know the vibes. If you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Bench mob, we out. Peace.
Peace.